My name is Leo. I'm 31 years old. And this is the story of how the ring my fiancée threw back in my face, the one she said was a symbol of my failure, ended up on the finger of the woman she hates most in this world. You think you know pain? Real pain isn't a cut. It's not a broken bone. It's a public execution of your heart, dressed up as a party. It's putting on a suit, thinking you're about to seal the happiest day of your life with a toast, only to have the woman you'd have died for take the microphone and carve out your soul in front of everyone you've ever known. I saved for 8 months for that ring. I didn't just walk into a store and point. I designed it, a pear-cut diamond flanked by 2 smaller sapphires, blue, like her eyes. Or like I thought they were. I thought they were deep, full of mystery and promise. Turns out they were just shallow, reflecting whatever light would shine on her the brightest at that moment. The engagement party was at her parents' house. Big, white-pillared monstrosity. Always felt like I was walking into a museum, not a home. I should have known. Everything was a performance for Chloe. Her family, her friends, her job, and me. I was just the latest accessory. Until I wasn't shiny enough anymore. I remember the weight of the ring box in my pocket that night. It felt like an anchor tethering me to this future I was so sure of. We were laughing, I was getting claps on the back. Her mother was crying these pristine, perfect tears. And then someone handed her a microphone. Just for a toast. She stood up on the patio, under these twinkling fairy lights, looking like every single one of my dreams come to life. She started talking about the future, about ambition, about what it means to truly succeed. Her eyes scanned the crowd, all these lawyers, these hedge fund guys her father played golf with. And then they landed on me, and they were cold, empty, like 2 chips of ice. She said my name, Leo, and her voice didn't sound like hers. It was this formal, clipped thing. All of this, it's been a beautiful dream. My heart just stopped. It literally stopped beating for a second. You know that feeling? When the whole world just screeches to a halt? But a dream isn't enough, she said. She held up her left hand where that ring had been for 3 glorious weeks. You gave me this. A symbol of a promise of a comfortable life, a simple life. I could feel every single pair of eyes on me. I could hear the silence. It was louder than any noise I've ever heard. It was a physical pressure crushing my lungs. And I've realized, she continued, her voice gaining this terrible steady strength, that I don't want comfortable. I don't want simple. I deserve a partner who matches my ambition, a real success, not someone who's just content. She walked over to me, click-clack of her heels on the stone patio, like little hammers on my coffin. She took my hand. Her fingers were like ice, and she pressed the ring box into my palm. And she closed my fingers around it. I'm sorry, Leo, you're just not enough. You're just not enough. Those 4 words, they echo in the silence of my apartment. They're there when I try to fall asleep. They're the first thing I hear when I wake up. You're just not enough. The weeks after, they're a blur of shame and rage. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I called in sick to work for a week straight. I just sat in the dark, holding that damn ring box, feeling the weight of it. My failure, made of platinum and diamond. I'd open it and stare at that stone, those blue sapphires that now looked like 2 mocking cold eyes. I'd scream, I'd throw things. I put my fist through a wall. The pain was a living thing, a beast inside my chest, chewing its way out. But you know what happens after you hit bottom? There's nowhere to go but up. Or you stay there and die. And I wasn't going to let her kill me. The anger, it became my fuel. It was the only thing that got me out of bed. You think I'm not enough, Chloe? You think I'm just content? I'll show you what enough looks like. I'll show you ambition. I had a side project, an app I'd been tinkering with for years. A logistics streamlining software. Boring to most, but it was my baby. I'd been too scared to go all in. Too comfortable in my safe salaried job. The job she'd always subtly looked down on. Well, fear was a luxury I couldn't afford anymore. I quit. I lived on savings and a furious burning need to prove her wrong. I worked 18-hour days. The code was my therapy. The business plan was my revenge fantasy. I channeled every ounce of that pain, that humiliation, into building something real, something she couldn't dismiss. It was during this time that I ran into Isabella, literally, at a coffee shop bleary-eyed at 7 a.m., I wasn't looking where I was going and spilled my Americano all over her white blouse. I was ready for the fury, but she just laughed, this rich, warm sound that felt like the first bit of sun after a nuclear winter. "Rough morning?" she'd said. And I looked up, and it was Isabella Rossi, Chloe's rival, the one woman Chloe was secretly, obsessively jealous of. Isabella came from old money but had built her own tech empire from the ground up. She was sharp, elegant, and utterly self-made. Chloe hated that. Hated that Isabella's success wasn't just an accessory, it was her core. I stammered an apology, mortified. But she recognized me. "Leo? Chloe's—" She didn't finish, her eyes softened. "I heard about what happened. I'm sorry, that was brutally uncalled for." We got to talking. I don't know why, but I told her about the app. Maybe it was the sleep deprivation. Maybe it was the fact that she was the first person who hadn't looked at me with pity since the party. She was intrigued. She asked smart questions, the kind of questions that showed she actually understood. She gave me her card. "Send me your deck. I'd like to see it." That email was the hardest thing I'd ever sent. It felt like handing her my still beating, bruised heart. But she saw the potential. She saw past the raw, angry code to the core of it. She became my first investor. More than that, she became my mentor, my friend. She'd been there. She knew what it was like to be told she wasn't enough. We'd work late nights, fueled by coffee and a shared, unspoken understanding of what it means to build yourself from rubble. Months bled into a year. The app took off. We landed a major client, then another. The business I built out of sheer spite was becoming a real, tangible success. The kind Chloe would have bragged about if she'd stuck around. The anger didn't go away, but it changed. It wasn't a raw, open wound anymore. It was a forge. It had tempered me, made me harder, sharper. And through it all, there was Isabella, not as a replacement, as an upgrade in every conceivable way. Where Chloe was all sharp edges and calculated moves, Isabella was solid, grounded. Her belief in me wasn't conditional, it was earned. We started dating quietly. It wasn't some dramatic, passionate explosion. It was a slow, steady burn. A partnership. We fit. The ring. It stayed in its box, in my sock drawer, a relic, a ghost. I'd look at it sometimes. The pain was gone. All that was left was a cold, hard clarity. It wasn't a symbol of my failure anymore. It was a symbol of her lack of vision. Then came the Harrington Foundation Gala, the biggest charity event of the year. Black tie, old money, new money, the whole circus. My company had bought a table. Isabella was my date. We were walking in, her arm linked in mine, and I felt good, strong. I was wearing a tux that fit better than the one I'd worn to my own engagement party. I belonged here, on my own terms. And then I saw her, Chloe, on the arm of some guy in a ridiculously expensive-looking tux, a carbon copy of every other finance bro she'd always claimed to admire. She saw me the same instant I saw her. Her eyes widened. For a second, it was pure, unadulterated shock. Then her gaze flicked to Isabella, and it curdled into something else, confusion. And then, as she took in my posture, my confidence, the way Isabella was looking at me, it turned to a slow-dawning, sickening realization. And then, finally, the mask snapped back into place. That cool, condescending smile. She detached from her date and glided over. "Leo," she purred. "Oh my God. I almost didn't recognize you." Her eyes raked over me, trying to find a seam, a crack. "You look, well, Chloe," I said, my voice flat. Isabella gave my arm a slight reassuring squeeze, but didn't say anything. She was enjoying this far too much. "I have to admit, I'm surprised to see you here," Chloe continued, her smile never reaching her eyes. "I didn't think this was your scene." She leaned in slightly, her voice dropping to a faux conspiratorial whisper. "Are you okay? Really? After everything, I've been so worried. I heard you quit your job. That's so brave." The word was a poison dart, or reckless. It's hard to tell sometimes. She looked at Isabella, a flicker of genuine venom in her gaze. "Isabella, always a pleasure. I see you've taken on another project." Isabella just smiled, serene as a lake. People with vision see potential where others see projects, Chloe. Chloe's smile tightened. She turned back to me, her head tilted. I hope you're not still carrying a torch, Leo. It's been over a year. You need to move on. Find someone simpler. This world, she gestured around the opulent ballroom. It isn't for everyone. It's for people who are built for it. You have to be honest with yourself about what you are. And there it was. The same old record. You're not enough. You don't belong. I just looked at her. I felt nothing. No anger. No pain. Just a profound, bone-deep pity. She was still the same person, playing the same sad, small game. It was in that moment that Isabella decided to make her move. She turned to me, her body language shifting from supportive to intimately possessive. She placed her left hand gently on my chest, right over my heart. Darling, we should find our table. The speeches are about to start. The lights of the chandelier caught the stone on her finger. My stone. My sapphires. Chloe's eyes, drawn by the movement, dropped to Isabella's hand. I saw the exact moment her brain processed what it was seeing. Her face went slack. The color drained from her cheeks, leaving 2 stark spots of blush like a clown's makeup. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. She just stared. At the pear-cut diamond. At the 2 blue sapphires, winking mockingly up at her from her rival's hand. The world narrowed to that ring, and her horrified face. Is that? She finally choked out, her voice a strangled whisper. She looked from the ring to my face, her eyes wide with a kind of terrified disbelief. Is that my ring? The spell broke. I felt a slow, cold smile spread across my own face. It wasn't a happy smile. It was a verdict. Your ring? I said, my voice quiet but carrying in the sudden tension between us. No, Chloe, it was never your ring. You made that perfectly clear. You called it a symbol of my failures. You gave it back, remember, in front of God and everybody. She was shaking her head, a frantic, jerky motion. But you gave it to her? Isabella lifted her hand, examining the ring with a calm appreciation. It's stunning, isn't it? She said, her voice like silk. Leo has such impeccable taste. It's a shame you couldn't see its true value. All you saw was the price tag. You never saw the promise. Chloe looked like she'd been slapped. Her composure shattered completely. The mask of cool superiority crumbled into raw, ugly fury. You too. This is pathetic. This is some staged little revenge fantasy. You're trying to humiliate me. No one needs to stage your humiliation, Chloe, I said, my voice dropping, losing all its pretense of civility. The anger was back, but it was cold now. Controlled. A weapon. You handle that all on your own. You were so focused on finding a man who was already a success, so desperate to latch onto a finished product that you lost the one who was destined to become one. You had a diamond, and you threw it in the gutter because you were too stupid to see it needed a little polish. I took a step closer, and she actually flinched back. You didn't want a partner. You wanted a trophy. And you were too blind to see that the man you discarded was the only real trophy in this entire damn room. I looked at the ring on Isabella's finger, then back at Chloe's ashen face. You were wrong. This ring was never a symbol of my failure. It was always a symbol of my potential. Isabella just had the vision to see it. She saw me. You only ever saw what you could use. The silence that followed was absolute. Chloe stood there trembling, her eyes glistening with furious, unshed tears. The guy she was with had noticed the commotion and was starting to walk over, a confused look on his face. Isabella gave a final, small, triumphant smile. Enjoy the rest of your evening, Chloe. She turned, and I turned with her. We walked away, leaving my ex-fiancée standing there, utterly destroyed in the middle of the glittering crowd. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The image of her shattered face was burned into my mind forever. We got outside, the cool night air hitting my face. I took a deep, shuddering breath. It was over. Truly over. Isabella looked at me, her eyes searching mine. You okay? I let out a breath I felt like I'd been holding for over a year. Yeah, I said, and I meant it. I'm better than okay. She smiled, that real warm smile that was just for me. Good, because she already lost the best thing she ever had. I looked down at our joined hands, at the ring that had once represented my greatest pain and now symbolized my greatest strength. It wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclamation. I had taken back my narrative. I had taken back my future. "What did I ever do to deserve you?" I whispered. She squeezed my hand. "You built something. You stayed true. And you didn't let her break you." She leaned her head on my shoulder. "That's all I ever wanted. A builder, not a trophy." We stood there for a long time, watching the city lights, the ghost of that party, of that engagement, finally fading into nothing. The beast in my chest was gone. The echo of her voice telling me I wasn't enough was silenced. For the first time since she handed me back that box, I felt a peace so profound it was dizzying. I was enough. I had always been enough. For the right person, for myself. The ring my fiancée returned is now on her rival's finger. And I have never been happier.